If you have been putting in the work, showing up for yourself, really locked in with your goals, and you still don't see the results that you were expecting, I need you to stop whatever it is that you're doing to focus on this video. Because through seasons like this, seasons where you are becoming, there is always a point where things feel slow. And this is the exact moment where most people give up. You start wondering if you chose the right path. You start looking at other people's progress, and that pressure changes how you're going to move forward. You either rush outcomes to feel like you're progressing, or you may delay action because you're unsure. And so in today's video, I'm going to explain exactly what is happening in seasons like this and how you can stay consistent without forcing results. So hey, hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Cherrelle, and on this channel, we're all about identity-based personal development with a sprinkle of personal brand building. So take a second to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the video. A quiet in-between season is a time in life where things feel more calm or slow. It comes after one big change and right before the next one starts. So in these kind of seasons, not much may seem to be happening on the outside, but you may be learning, thinking, or expanding more on the inside. And even if nothing big is taking place, you can still use this time to sleep more, to catch up on your health, to clean up your routine, and to handle small tasks that you have been putting off. It's the quiet season where it's a good time to practice being the person that you're aiming to become, so that when it's time for your next big break, you're not starting from zero. You're more rested, you're more organized, you're more clear about what you want, and you're ready to make things happen. So why do we have such a hard time trusting the process? Trusting the process when navigating a quiet season is hard because it requires you to believe that something is happening even when you cannot see the progress. It requires you to show up when there's no one clapping for you, to stay consistent when there is no evidence, to keep building when it feels quiet. But let's take an even deeper look at how this shows up. Another reason why it's hard is because trusting the process requires surrendering. It requires accepting that you cannot control every little outcome. You can only control your effort, you can only control your preparation, and you can only control your obedience. But you cannot control timing, and timing is usually the part we struggle with the most. We also struggle because comparison is hard to ignore. So you may look around and it feels like everyone else is moving faster, everyone else is getting engaged, getting promoted, buying homes, launching businesses, traveling, living their best life. Meanwhile, you're over here in your quiet season, building, learning, stretching, failing, trying again, and it just really makes you question whether you're behind or whether you miss your mark completely. And sometimes it's hard because our desire for instant results makes trusting the process challenging as well. Most of us are used to immediate feedback. You study for a test, you receive a grade. You clock into work, you receive a paycheck. You post a video, you see the views. But real transformation doesn't always operate on an immediate timeline. Effort is often invested for weeks, months, or years before you even start to notice growth. And the gap between effort and evidence feels uncomfortable because, again, there's no immediate confirmation. And it is hard to trust a path if you don't understand the steps involved or the reasons behind it. So we want proof that what we're doing is going to work before we fully commit to it. We want confirmation that the sacrifices, the disciplines, the late nights, the early mornings, the boring routines, that all of it is actually leading somewhere. And the truth is, the process rarely gives you the proof up front. It asks for your faith first. And this is also hard because growth feels like loss before it feels like gain. So when you pivot careers, you feel inexperienced again. When you start working out, you feel weak before you become strong. When you begin building something from nothing, you feel small before you feel established. And so the beginning stages of growth often look like regression, and that can be very discouraging. And if we're being completely honest, sometimes we just don't trust the process because we don't fully trust ourselves. We are afraid that we'll quit again. We're afraid that we'll lose the motivation. We're afraid that we will make the wrong decision and waste our time. So instead of committing and trusting the process, we half step, we hold back, we wait for certainty that just may never come. And the bottom line about all of this is that the process was never meant to be comfortable. It was meant to change you. It was meant to refine your discipline, your patience, your character, and your perspective. If everything made sense the entire time, you would not grow. If you saw the full blueprint from the beginning to the end of your process, you would not develop the resilience needed to keep going. And so again, seasons like this is where most people quit. They quit in the quiet, yet The quiet is where the foundation of the new you is built. And when you understand that, you can start to see how the pressure of this season shows up in your behavior. So something that I've learned over the last couple of years is that fear that we feel in the slow season, and the quiet season, and the in-between, it turns into different behaviors that shapes our actions. So that fear sometimes turns into desperation. So you start feeling like you need to do more, post more, say more, be seen more. You feel like you have to force opportunities, force connections, and force outcomes. You start overextending yourself because somewhere in your mind, you believe that if you do just a little more, if you push just a little harder, if you prove yourself a little louder, then maybe your breakthrough will come faster. Or it turns into perfectionism. So you need something to be right. The idea has to be original, it has to be beautiful, it has to be received well, it has to be accepted well, because you don't want to be seen as an imposter. You don't want anyone questioning your intelligence, your ability, or your calling. So you tweak and you edit and you rethink and you revise until the progress stalls and nothing actually gets released. Or it turns into procrastination. You tell yourself that you're thinking through it, you tell yourself that you're waiting for the right time, but really you have overthought it to the point of paralysis. You've gone back and forth with your ideas so much that it doesn't even make sense anymore. And the simple next step that once felt clear, it now feels overwhelming. And instead of taking the first baby step, you again distract yourself and continue to postpone action. So desperation, perfectionism, and procrastination, they are all different responses to the same root fear, the fear of being behind, not being enough, or getting it wrong. And if you're not aware of these patterns, you really do risk building your life from anxiety instead of trust. And the solution to all of this is to ground yourself in evidence rather than emotion. So allowing myself to sit down and really think about this has been very therapeutic because it forces me to look at the evidence in my own life. So it forces me to stop operating off of emotion and really start looking at facts. So I know that where I'm at today, I was not here 2 years ago. I wasn't here a year ago. And sometimes when you're in the middle of building something, you forget that. A year ago, I was just starting off with YouTube. I remember recording my first video thinking I had it all figured out. And then I sat down to review it and it literally gave me the ick. The lighting wasn't right. My delivery was off. I was still trying to find my voice. But instead of quitting, I just kept going. And over time, I really learned. I learned how to speak with more confidence. I learned pacing. I learned how to think about storytelling and the thumbnails and the structure. I learned how to sit in front of a camera and not overthink every word. And that growth that I've gone through, it didn't happen overnight. It happened video by video. And this is where I want you to pause for a second and really reflect on your own journey. Think about where you were last year. Think about your aspirations, the goals you had set last year, the things you said you wanted to build or become or change. Maybe it was your relationship with wellness. Maybe it was getting your finances in order. Maybe it was starting a personal brand. Maybe it was finally taking yourself seriously. And even if you only took baby steps, that still counts. Progress does not always show up loudly. Sometimes it's mental. Maybe you develop self-discipline. Maybe you build consistency. Maybe you stop talking yourself out of opportunities, and all of that matters. And I don't want this to be about what you bought, what you invested into, or what you acquired. I want it to be about who you had to become. How do you now approach things differently? How do you handle stress differently? How do you think differently? How do you create differently? How do you inspire differently? Who are you becoming because of the waiting season that you had to endure? Recognizing evidence strengthens your trust, and documenting your process of collecting little moments of evidence helps you not forget your progress. So because this channel is a little sprinkle of personal brand building, I just have to talk about documenting your journey, especially in a slow season like this. So when life feels repetitive, boring, and quiet, it's easy to think that nothing is changing. But again, documenting your journey forces you to slow down long enough to see what's actually happening. Without some form of record, emotions will start making decisions for you. And what this can look like is one setback can definitely make it feel like your entire year has been wasted. And looking back at the goals that you set, the habits that you've built, the risks that you have taken, helps keep your perspective in place. When you look back at your own life closely, you will see that you've learned new skills. Maybe you've managed your money better, again, handled stress more calmly, and that is growth, even if no one else can see it. So sharing your journey is definitely optional, but it also doesn't need to happen in real time. If you're new to this channel, I'm all about moving in silence. You can check out my most recent content video here. And be sure to subscribe. I'm gonna make a video in the near future on how you can move in silence and still document your journey. Because again, in the quiet season, the development of who you are becoming is the focus. However, we love a good transformational story. We love to see people show their journey of like losing 50 pounds. We love seeing people share their story of building something from nothing. We love to be able to walk through journeys of transformation as it brings us hope and inspiration that we can do it too. And that's what becoming the brand is all about. Being able to explain your growth clearly builds confidence, and it helps you build trust with the people or opportunities that you are hoping to attract. And in this economy, people are paying attention to real experiences. Someone documenting how they're learning new skills, networking, rebuilding after a setback, that becomes evidence and that becomes positioning. Even if it never turns into a platform, it builds the confidence you need because you can see your own evolution clearly. And I understand that it can be easy to hesitate because other people are doing something similar to what you want to do, but no one has your exact circumstances. So your context changes the story. Your lens adds a new perspective that maybe the world hasn't seen, but you can only share that perspective if you show up. So sometimes you're waiting for something to happen that will finally push you to show up. You tell yourself that once the opportunity comes, once the money is right, once you feel confident, then you'll show up. Meanwhile, the world is waiting on you. You have a secret lens, a perspective that we as a collective haven't been able to unlock because you're waiting on the perfect moment. It is your process that maybe holds a promise to the rest of us that we too can make it through. So yeah, keeping a record really holds you accountable. It shows you where you are improving, where you are avoiding putting in the work. Many changes that we have to go through in life, it starts in our mindset and our habits before it really shows up in our reality. So when you can see the evidence in front of you, it's easier to stay focused and keep going. Before I end this video out, I want to give you a reminder that every story has an in-between chapter. It's usually quiet, it's usually slower than you hope. You'll feel tired, you'll feel behind, you will feel forgotten. But this part of the story really shapes who you are becoming. And when you feel like you are at a low point, remember that staying consistent is what actually moves you forward. In this season, I want to encourage you to take ownership of your story. You can start by choosing one action that you can take today that really pushes you ahead. Learn something useful and apply it to what you already know, and document your progress. The waiting season is not a pause, it is where your character is developing for the rest of your story to unfold. And when you're ready to become the woman that you've desired to be and to create a brand that matches her, be sure to check out the Become the Brand Guide. It is listed down below. This is the perfect resource to help you stay focused and build while in the quiet in between. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in my next upload.